I was recently referred to a new client who shared with me this story about losing $1 million in her portfolio. And I wanted to share that story with you. Not so much to focus on what happened, but to focus on some of the lessons that we can learn from this story so this doesn't happen to you. Hi, my name is Mark Singer, and for up-to-date and timely information on retirement issues about the pandemic or Social Security, click on the link below to subscribe to our channel and hit the notifications bell so you're alerted to when we post new videos. So let me share with you the story. So she is recently widowed. He had worked his entire life for GE, at General Electric. And as with many of his peers and that generation, when they worked for one of these top Fortune 100 companies, they put a majority of their contributions in their 401k into the company's stock. We've heard a lot of these stories, right? Sometimes they're good, but sometimes when they're not so good, they're really bad. And unfortunately, this was a really bad situation. So he had retired a few years ago and he had rolled over his 401k into an IRA with Fidelity. And that's neither good nor bad Fidelity. It just is a matter of statement. I'll get back to that in terms of the lessons that we learned. But that's what he did and kept the investments intact. So the vast majority of what he owned post-retirement was in the GE stock. So he passed away going back now about a year and a half, and she is now widowed. And now she's taking a look at the portfolio. And she was only doing this now because I had asked her to, because she was going to roll over the money that she had. And she told me how much, it was worth. She had a few $100,000 in it, and she was surprised it wasn't worth what it was before. She said she thought she had lost somewhere in the vicinity of $600,000 or $700,000 in value. So we took a look. First of all, we did realize that almost all of the portfolio was in the GE stock. GE stock used to be, numbers of years ago, upwards as high as $60. Going back a few years ago, as high as $30. But when he passed, the stock had lost somewhere around 80% of its value. It had gone from approximately $1.6 million down to less than $400,000. And now that she's widowed and she thought that she was all set, things have changed and taken a dramatic turn not in her favor. So let's take a look at it. Instead of focusing on what happened and the loss of value there, let's take a look at 4 lessons learned from this story that you could benefit from so this doesn't happen to you. So lesson number 1, having all your eggs in one basket. Now, I've worked with numbers of people who have had a majority of their stock in that one company. The stock had done so well for so long. And I'll share with you a story from very early on in my career where a new client of mine had almost all of his stock in the Wang Corporation. For those of you old enough, you'll remember, the Wang Corporation. It had done very, very well, and he was about to retire, and he had somewhere in the vicinity, I think it was about $800,000 in his 401k. And again, all of it was in the Wang stock. And 6 months before he was to retire, I strongly recommended to him that he diversify. He take down the 100% in the Wang stock to maybe just keeping some of it. And because he had reached his retirement number, take the risk down, right? But the response was, and I hear this a lot, hey, I've worked there for all these years. I know the company. It's done well for me. Things aren't going to go south. I know that. It's a big risk to take. You know the end of the story, right? 6 months after he retired, the Wang stock crumbled, and he was no longer in a position to pursue the retirement of his dreams. I'm not saying the stock you're in or you're not in is going to do well or not do well. I'm just saying to you, understand what your retirement number is. What is that number you need? And make sure that as you approach retirement, you do not have all your eggs in one basket, no matter how good it feels and no matter how much you think you know about it. This is one thing I know that I can guarantee you. Change. Things change. So protect what you have and try not to have all of what you have in one basket. Lesson number 2, know your retirement number. I referenced that before, right? What is the retirement number? Well, if you do the planning and you recognize you need a certain amount of money in your portfolio so that when you retire, you can generate income from that portfolio that is enough for you to pursue your retirement dreams. If you've hit that number, that retirement number, you've made it. You're good. At that point, again, I've talked about the difference between the accumulation phase and the distribution phase. In the accumulation phase, we're looking to grow and grow and grow that number, that retirement asset, to reach that retirement number. And once you hit that number, it may be a good idea to change your focus a bit, particularly as you reach retirement and the distribution phase, to take the risk down a little bit, to protect and preserve that retirement asset base that you have so that it can generate the income that you need with the potential for some growth. The way you manage your money in the accumulation phase and the way you manage your money in the distribution stage now that you're retired, it's a little bit different. I'm not saying you go to all cash or CDs or go completely risk-free in retirement. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you have to recognize what your number is and then manage your portfolio so that you can then protect and preserve that principle so that looking forward, you get the income you need now and you get the income you need later. You know, there's a lot to deal with when it comes to the planning around retirement. And I'm going to get to 2 more lessons for you in just a moment. But if you're interested in how to avoid 4 of those mistakes that could cost you thousands of dollars, make sure you click on the button below to view our masterclass. So here's lesson number 3. And this may be the biggest one of all, okay? So in the story I shared with you initially, the widow who lost over $1 million, the mistake that she made when she was talking with me, she said to me, but aren't they looking at this? Wouldn't they have given me a call? And that is a lesson we should all learn, which is to understand the role that the financial advisor or institution has and how they will be communicating with you. So here with Fidelity, this is a place that, you know, got a tremendous track record in terms of creating investments, but they're not necessarily going to be reaching out to every one of their clients when a stock goes up or down to provide proactive advice, customized for each individual client. And the mistake here was she didn't have enough knowledge to know that she should be calling them. Oh, look, the stock's going from 30 down to 7. Shouldn't something be happening? She didn't even know what was happening, and she thought that if something were to happen, she'd get a phone call. If she knew the dynamics of the relationship beforehand, she might have been able to have stemmed the tide of all of those losses. Lesson number 4, get involved. I see this a lot with the people I work with. Oftentimes, he is in control of or knows of or is knowledgeable about the finances, and she, you know, trusts him. That's not the way it should be. I'm glad she trusts him, but she needs to be more involved because at some point, something's going to change. He may get sick. He may pass away. In this instance, he did pass away, and she was left completely unaware of who to call, who to talk to, where things were, what to expect. So those are the 4 big lessons learned from the headline of Widow Loses $1 million. Don't focus on the headline. Focus on the lessons to be learned, and you'll put yourself in a much better place. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please tell a friend about it. Subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell. I really do hope that you enjoy the retirement journey. Thank you for watching.